if you follow Jordan Peterson, if you listen to the edicts that he gives you, you will end up just like him. I say the exact opposite of what Peterson says, and that is you must, if you are going to find great strength in yourself, if you are going to find strength to be a hero, if you're going to find strength to be a creator, if you're going to find the strength to be industrious, you must look to yourself and through yourself see your people. If you, as Peterson argues instead, sever yourself from your people, you are deracinated, you are nothing. And first and foremost, you are a liar, because you didn't create the language with which you speak. You did not come up with the engineering that built the city or the town in which you live. You did not create the mathematics that has made all these aspects of your life endurable, has made things tolerable for you. So you are lying when you say that you are this radical individual. And this radical individualism that he preaches, you can go down the line of logic, you can go down the line of what is demonstrable and see that in every single case, this leads to inner turmoil, sickness, disease, abandonment, feelings of isolation, etc. That is what Jordan Peterson gives you. And it is the feelings of isolation. It is these feelings that you are nothing but a speck in this void, this great void that isn't outside of you, ladies and gentlemen. It's inside of your soul. It just feels like it's outside of you. You feel like you're alone because inside you are alone. Inside you have built these walls that you believe are virtuous to build, because Jordan Peterson has told you, this guy with all of these degrees, this peacock with all of these academic degrees arrayed around him, he has told you, and while he's telling you all of these other things that are legitimate, all of these other things that are good, just like good rat poison always works this way. It smells good, it tastes good, the rat works his way through it quite quickly. It is almost entirely composed of something that isn't deleterious for the rat, but there is that tiny bit of poison, that little poison pill, and that's what kills the rat. That is what kills those who follow Jordan Peterson and the idea of radical individualism. And whether Jordan knows it himself or he's being steered by powers that are greater than himself, he has been steered in a direction or is actively participating in this, in which he has said, by the way, that it is his job to stop white people from developing an identity as white people. He has said that on video. There's no mistaking it.
I don't think that the Caucasians, let's say, should revert to being white. I think that's a bad idea. It's a dangerous idea.
So for all of you out there who say you like him, he's a great guy, if you are also white positive, you cannot fail to mention, or you are a liar, that this guy you like, you think he's doing good things otherwise, has also said that it is his duty to prevent white people, not black people, not Jewish people, not Hispanic people, not any other non-white race of people from becoming or rather embracing their identity, just white people. That is what is his job. He has professed in video that he is going to stop. That's what he wants to stop. So if you're a follower of his, you have to own up to that, and you have to say, yes, he does actually make active his own efforts, that he is endeavoring to, or make known his own efforts, that he is endeavoring to stop white people from embracing our identity. And when you go down that path, that is lined with not the good intentions, but the promises, some of which are true, some of which are false, you go down that path, you end up in that inner void, you build that wall inside yourself, and you no longer have contact with that great spirit of the Western kind that wants to speak to you, the great spirit that has spoken to our greatest thinkers, our greatest warriors, our greatest healers, our greatest artists, our greatest poets. They heeded that voice, and that is what made them so great. When you follow Jordan Peterson, you stuff your ears and you build this brick wall around you, and you sit alone in the darkness. And what ends up happening when you do that? Well, you do like Jordan Peterson. You turn to drugs. How many of the white people that he has led down this nefarious route have also now turned to drug, to drink, to some sort of self-abuse, because cleaning their room and all of these other things that I know it's trivialized, but it ultimately encapsulates what Jordan Peterson is saying. this idea of cleaning your room, that all of this has led them still to a bleak today and a bleak tomorrow. And they try to drown themselves, whether it's in these pills that Peterson was using or drink or what have you. Maybe it's even just nicotine and they've become heavy smokers or what have you as a consequence, ruining their health that way. Anything to escape the emptiness that they have made for themselves, as encouraged by the Dr. Jordan Peterson, who, of course, the regime allows on all of their television shows. And they challenge him, no doubt. You wouldn't believe that he was opposition if they didn't challenge him, would you? If they celebrated him when he came on, it wouldn't be believable that he was opposition to the regime. So they challenge him, and he takes them on. He takes them down in some cases. He looks a fool in others. Nonetheless, by his own admission, and it is probably far more than this, he makes $10 million a year off of the white population of planet Earth. 10 million, by his own admission, dollars a year off the white population, selling them poison. Poison, ladies and gentlemen. Poison that is evidenced by the fact that he has himself, following his own edicts, turned to drug use. Those who embrace anti-whiteism, or that those who are just suffering from the effects of anti-whiteism and the anti-white narrative across the West, are turning to the ultimate white flight of suicide and to the white flight of drug abuse, escaping reality, the reality of our anti-white world, the reality that Jordan was creating for himself with these arguments that he made, escaping it as best they could. In this case, for Jordan Peterson, it was these pills that are to raise his mood, to dull his pain. For Chris Dangerfield, it was heroin, escaping that wretched world into which he had succumbed without realizing that it was depriving him of all meaning and value in his life. If you, ladies and gentlemen, take up this cause for white well-being, if you go free, you will realize that all need for these external escape mechanisms, these white flight mechanisms, will evaporate like dew in the western sunrise. You will have no need for these things. You will have no need for the self-mutilation. You will have no need for these trivialities of sports ball, which is not to say that you still might want to see the game or watch the boxing match or what have you. Of course, you will still want to engage these things from time to time, but there's a big difference between going and watching a game or going and watching a concert and it being something that you do out of the ordinary for fun, and somebody who has dedicated their life to these things, knows about every single actor or actress, knows about every single athlete and what they have done with their lives and who they have dated and what was their foot speed at this age and what were their stats over there. Those are people who are trying to escape the identity that the anti-whites have saddled us with, that they have burdened us with, this wretched death shroud of anti-whiteism. So that is what I have to say about Jordan Peterson. If you follow Jordan Peterson, if you listen to the edicts that he gives you, you will end up just like him. You will end up worshiping some Native American tribe to try to find your identity. You will end up surrounding yourself in the artistic works of other races of people, trying to find an identity that it still will not be yours. And you will end up in the end white flighting by way of drugs, by way of suicide. You will end up white flighting from that evil identity that we're saddled with one way or another. Jordan has himself showed the outcome of his admonitions. What more does anyone need to say? You are not going to see somebody go into, you're certainly not going to see no white guilt, serving white well-being, finding my identity in the true glowing, gleaming white spirit of Western kind, white flight my way into some sort of weird drug abuse or body mutilation, etc. It's not going to happen. The reason why is this: when you sit in the solitary confinement that is the electrical storm inside of our brains, when you sit in that solitary confinement and you look out into the darkness around you, you have a couple of choices. You can turn away from the world. You can embrace individualism, which in a world of collectivism is utter suicide, should be apparent to everyone. You can embrace that. You can build that wall, and you can make that darkness in that solitary confinement even darker. Or you can look for that pole star. And when you see it, search, strive, long for it, move toward it, because the closer you come, the brighter that space will be, and the more empowered you will be, and the louder that voice that will speak to you, the voice of Western kind. And it is all you will ever need. It is the voice that our greatest have always heeded. And if you heed it as well as I have bent my knee to it, as Jared George has bent his knee to it, if you heed that voice, you will achieve great things. You will do great things, things that you never thought were possible. That is the admonition of No White Guilt. That is what we promise to you.
No white guilt.